Well, what's happening, guys? You are tuned in to the Timmy Riggs podcast, Life in the Meantime. Per usual, I'll just intro with kind of what my focus is. My desire, my passion, my focus is for me and for you to build a healthier whole life in the meantime. And as we do, we can build a healthier whole world. I think that's really important because we got people coming after us, right? Just like the people who came before us. That was their goal, a lot of their goals. And so that should be our goal too. And I think that it happens best in the meantime between point A and point B. So quick refresher, there's 6 components that I believe that when we live them well in life, we can kind of achieve that goal. And the 6 components are this. I'll say them real fast. But it is our spiritual health, our physical health, our mental health, our relational health, our vocation, and our finances. And I think the ultimate goal for us and what I'm pursuing in my life is to get all those healthy and aligned, right? Sometimes you can have a lot of focus for your vocation and for your finances, but maybe your spiritual health, your relational health, and mental health is in a deficit. And so therefore you're going to be living a little stressed out because they're not aligned. But if we kind of can bring them together, I think that's when we live best. And so that's my goal. And today, if you are just listening, I'll tell you, it's a nice, rainy, gloomy day. If you're watching, that's why it's kind of this cozy setting. And so let's dive in. Today, I want to talk specifically about kind of that physical health component, right? And my ultimate goal here is to have this be kind of a conversation. Today, I'm ISO, I'm monologue, but a lot of times I want to have people on, maybe it's friends or people I reached out to that are kind of borderline crushing a specific component, because I think a lot of times we'll find that the health in one component can kind of leave some ripple effects, positive ripple effects into the other components. So with that said, today let's talk a little bit about the physical component. For me, something that I'm realizing and that I've learned, and I think you probably already know, but I'll just repeat it for you, is that no one starts out super successful. All the people that we look at that are successful in whatever area it might be, they didn't start out real big in where they're at. Usually they start small, but they dream big. So that's the biggest thing I want us to kind of hone in on. I think about Bob Iger. He was the recent CEO of Disney World. Okay, so just for understanding of his influence and his power and all that, that man had a $60 million salary a year. So whether that's right or wrong, nonetheless, that's what he got to, okay? He was a big part of expanding Disney with their parks, but also just with their movies and TV shows and stuff. So he was a big part of making sure they got the Marvel acquisition locked in. But Bob didn't start there. Bob actually started at ABC as like a stagehand. He literally brought wires and stuff and hooked them up and moved props and things like that. And he got paid $150 a week. That's where he started. But he had a big dream, right? I think of another one, Pastor Craig Rochelle. If you haven't heard of him, he's an incredible leader, incredible pastor, and from what I can tell, friend, right? And so he started Life Church. Life Church now, I think on a given Sunday in locations and like specifically people who are part of their church and watch online, it's like up to like 70,000 or something, like real engaged people in their church. That's technically the biggest church that we know of. But then they stream, millions of people watch and stream. But not only that, their church are the inventors and founders and the givers of the YouVersion Bible app that they give out completely for free, which has over 250 million downloads in a ton of languages. So that's really cool. But where did Craig start? Well, he started, even way before that, but his church he founded when he was 30 years old in a garage with a little less than 100 people. Take Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Well, he was kind of born a full-grown man, so that's probably a bad example. But the people that I named already, and then maybe even people you can think of in your life, they didn't start at a level of success. They built towards it. So the common denominator that I see is that they start small, but they dream big. Over the last few years, my wife and some really close friends of ours that we live life really close with, we've kind of been on this journey, and they have been leading me in eating healthier and being healthier physically. And that journey has consisted of basically this: Brussels sprouts, pizza, grilled salmon, ice cream, broccoli, chips, right? It's kind of all across the board. But it's been a journey, right? And it was something that 5 years ago wasn't eating nearly as healthy as I am today. But I still want to continue to tilt the ratio. I still want to be eating more healthy whole foods and less, processed foods. That's a big thing that's happening in our culture. We just don't even realize what we're eating and what we're intaking, right? So I want to get to the point. I have a desire where I want to have a garden where I grow and maybe I can and I store a lot of the vegetables that I eat. I think that would be really cool. A, you're not spending as much money at the grocery store, and B, it's just like the satisfaction of what you've grown, right? And you're eating what you have cultivated. So that's like a big desire of mine. I am a maximizer and I am a great starter. So that's really great. The problem is sometimes I can start and dream a little bit too big, right? So my backyard's pretty good size, 50 feet by 50 feet. So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about making a garden, and I'm like, let's turn the whole thing into the Garden of Eden, right? Like, what if we just did that this spring? Let's plow the whole backyard. Let's have some corn over here, potatoes, radishes, bell peppers, tomatoes, the whole thing. I don't even want to be able to walk around because I want there to be so much vegetation. And then, and I think this is really important for me to have learned through life, but maybe it's for you too. I had to allow the experience of wisdom to whisper to me, okay? You catch that? I had to allow wisdom that I've had to learn and earn through the years whisper to me by saying, hey, that's great, but maybe we should start somewhere a little bit simpler, somewhere a little bit easier, somewhere where you can actually have some progress and not get burnt out. So that led me to being like, let me start small, but I can dream big. I haven't given up the vision of Eden in my backyard. But I want to start at a place where A, I can learn that I can actually keep a few vegetables alive and enjoy their fruit at the end of the season, right? And so what I did was I found some scrounged up wood in my garage, and I built a 2-foot by 3-foot raised garden bed, and I'm filling it with dirt right now, and I'm going to plant some things, and it's going to be a really good test. And it's a place for me to start small and dream big. So this leads to 2 tips that I want to give today. Really simple, and I've been thinking about them because I've been reading a lot of books on health and food and how we should eat and what it means for us and all that kind of stuff. So here's 2 things I kind of wanted to share because I think it's easy to dream really big when it comes to our physical health. But what do we see every January? A lot of times we start strong, maybe the first week or the first day, and we just burn out because we go insane like this other direction, 180 from how we've been living, and it's just really hard to sustain. So what I've been thinking is about these 2 tips, all right? And just kind of implementing them in my life, but also in yours when it comes to your health and your eating. So tip number 1, we're going to start small and we're going to dream big. And that is this: addition before subtraction, right? Addition before prohibition. What do we know about so many different diets? I know that any kind of diet I've started, it's always about subtracting and cutting out basically everything I've been eating before. Why? Because there's so much sugar, there's so much processed food, there's so much junk, right? So I get it, and I think that's a good thing for us to remember. Like, let's not just divulge in all these kind of things that are ultimately killing us. But it's so hard because when I make that switch from, having pizza and macaroni and cheese and cheeseburgers and all that stuff to now just 5 healthy whole foods, well, I end up not being able to sustain it. I get really bored. I get, it's connected to your emotions, so you get irritable, right? And you're hangry and all this stuff. And you think you have to eat less. So I'm going to offer you something else. Add before you subtract. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a regular week and we're going to say, okay, I know I need to be eating more healthy whole foods, vegetables, grass-fed beef, all this stuff. So instead of cutting everything out of my diet that I already eat, I'm going to start adding things. So for breakfast, let's say you like a pancake or a waffle or maybe even a bowl of Fruity Pebbles every day. So instead of just saying well, I'm not going to eat that anymore and I'm just going to have fruit, I'm just going to have berries, whatever, what we're going to do is we're going to add another meal to that morning breakfast. So now we're going to add a bowl of oatmeal and we're going to throw in some bananas and blueberries and sprinkle a little bit of honey on there. And so your goal is going to be that, and you can make maybe 1 waffle or 1 pancake or that bowl of cereal. But the goal is going to be to eat the healthy option first. Because I have kind of this reward or my prize maybe of the waffle afterwards, but I'm going to focus on maybe the healthier whole option first, because when I eat it all, then I'm probably already getting close to full. So if I want a couple bites of syrupy, buttery waffle, awesome, and I'm going to do that. But maybe you won't even want it at all. And maybe you'll still eat the whole waffle. That's fine, but at least you got your whole healthy food in there, okay? So that's the first option. Add before you subtract, and do that throughout the week, right? If you know you love having mac and cheese and loaded mashed potatoes and fried chicken, well, maybe we go another direction and we say I'm going to have grilled chicken and I'm going to have mac and cheese, but instead of loaded mash, I'm going to throw in some broccoli or Brussels sprouts. So I just think if we slowly add along the way, it'll be a better result for us. So tip number 2 is we're going to think about what we eat. So this goes directly with the first tip, which is add healthier foods. Now we're going to think about what we eat, which means when I'm eating that healthier food, I know my body and my stomach is excited when they get to work on and digest those certain foods and send them into my bloodstream and allow my cells to eat on them, because they know those are the nutrients they need, instead of just me constantly eating processed food and they're having to look through the wreckage to find a survivor, something healthy, beneficial for you. So when we start thinking about what we eat, it's literally me sitting there and thinking, okay, I'm at a fast food restaurant. I don't know what's in this. And if I don't know what's in this, that's probably not great, because healthy whole foods, you don't have to guess what's in an apple. It's an apple, especially if you buy it organically, right? I don't have to guess what's in an egg. It's an egg. I don't have to guess what's in salad. It's a salad. And so that's what we want to start thinking about in terms of what does my food look like and how is it affecting me. So connected with tip number 1, tip number 2, I think just gets us a little bit more aware of what we're putting in our bodies. And then, this isn't even a tip, but I think an outcome is you're going to start to be more aware of how it's making you feel. When I go get barbecue and I smother my brisket sandwich in sweet barbecue sauce and I got my fried onion straws and I got my cream corn, what happens? I love the first few bites. But then I get halfway through it and I'm like exhausted already, because it's so hard for your body to digest that stuff. You literally get tired. But instead, when I have a big salad and I've got bell peppers in it and cucumbers and olives and it's just oil and vinegar and salt and maybe a little balsamic vinegar add in there and something like that, and I eat the whole thing and it's pretty filling, and I throw in sardines. I know that everyone's like, oh, gross, but eating sardines and an avocado, and I'm getting all these healthy fats and good nutrients, then my body kind of rewards me, because I'm done with the meal and I still feel really good. And I have a lot of energy because it's excited to digest those nutrients, right? So I think you'll start to see an outcome as you just start feeling better. And if we're talking about living healthier whole lives in the meantime, I mean, we want to feel better physically. And so you're going to see that that is an option. And so, I don't know, tackle a week, maybe in the next couple weeks, and say this week, I'm going to focus on addition, all right? I'm not even going to worry about what to limit myself from. I'm going to focus on the things to add that I should be eating. And I'm going to be thinking about everything I eat. If you want to get extreme, write it down, log it. See how you feel after you eat that thing, right? And you don't have to guess. I mean, I eat 4 pieces of pizza. I know how I'm going to feel, bloated and tired. If I eat a giant bowl of salad and chew an apple, I'm going to feel great afterwards. Like, it's just the way it is. So in the meantime, start small, dream big. I think all of us want to have healthy bodies, right? We only have one. So I want to be 60, 70, 80 years old, full of energy, full of vigor, lots of fun. And so that's what I want for you too. And I think this is a good step. 2 simple tips: addition before subtraction, and then think about what you eat. And the main goal in the meantime, start small and dream big.